My name is Diego Aguilar. I have a small company, Absolute Remediation and Construction. Today we're going to be pouring some epoxy for a countertop. Our goal is to achieve the best looking countertop. At the same time, we're trying to deliver a durable surface compared to some of the other countertops. Pours will require a little bit of maintenance. This will be a good way to go about it without an excessive amount of maintenance. And if there's a small maintenance, there can be always be basically another layer that goes on top of it, and it will make it brand new, or at least it will make it look just like the first day when we finish doing it.
Hi, I'm John with White's Paint, White's Lumber Division Paint Manager. Today we're going to be working with Diego in doing a countertop epoxy. We're going to be using Salmon epoxy, countertop epoxy. This is a specialty epoxy. It's technically 100% solids epoxy, but it's formulated to be able to be put down a little bit thicker than like a floor 100% solid epoxy.
This countertop was actually built in spot due to the fact that it's an old house. Not all walls are square and even and flush. So we came in, we built this countertop to take into consideration some of the curves, some of the kinks, some of the imperfections, and build it right up to the wall. So compared to having a countertop, there's quartz, there's cut, and then there's big gaps in the drywall and the countertop. This was custom made. It is brand new. We just did a small coat as a filler, and then we're gonna proceed with epoxy afterwards. This will be a perfect solution for a retrofit where you don't have square walls or even walls.
So we have the epoxy catalyst. This is what we're going to start with. We're going to pour the catalyst in each of these buckets. You want to measure out the catalyst. It's a 1-to-1. So if you look here, we have a 1-to-1, right? So this will allow us to make sure that we have the correct amount of material. Once we pour the catalyst in the bucket, we're going to put some pigments. These are mica pigments from Cimarron. These will provide the color that is going to actually go into the countertops. These are called metallic pigments. These will give it a little bit of shimmer and give it a really nice effect. You're good with using all these colors?
Absolutely.
Okay.
My favorite.
Chestnut brown. All right. This is my favorite. It's the copper. We're going to put a color in each of the buckets that we pour the catalyst in. We do it in the catalyst because once we combine the part A and the part B, we don't have a lot of working time. So we want to get the colors mixed in before we get the resin mixed in. And then the last step in the mixing process is to add the resin. Depending on the system, you get anywhere from 20 to 40 minutes once the resin and the catalyst are combined. So we want to make sure we have all of our ducks in a row before we combine the cure and the resin. Otherwise, stuff will start hardening in the bucket and it will be unusable. So prep work is important. That's why Diego has taped off around the wall so we don't get any epoxy on the wall. He's taped off around the bottom of the counter so that when the epoxy falls over the front, it's not going to land on the cabinets that he's got put in. So definitely prep work is important to kind of protect everything and make sure that you're able to do what you need to do with the epoxy without having to worry about damaging any other assets.
So we have chestnut brown, copper, smoke gray, graphite, and oyster.
So that's definitely got enough pigment in it. So if you've seen it was translucent, you might want to add a little bit more pigment.
We also want to make sure that everything is mixed very well. There's no clumps. As you can see right there, there's still some. So we're going to mix it just a little longer. We also have to make sure that we don't mix too fast because we don't want to introduce a lot of air into it. Now that's a beautiful color, look at that.
So we have an idea of what this will look like, but it's going to be totally random. It's going to be basically a one-off, which means it's going to be totally unique to this home. Some of these things we may or may not use depending upon if we notice we're getting any air entrapment. 100% solids epoxy tends to bubble. So what this particular thing is a roller that will help pop the little bubbles, the little micro bubbles. We sell these at White's Paint, White's Lumber. And then we just have brushes. So now we're going to combine the catalyst with the resin. Okay. And after we do that, we're going to pour the combined mixtures into a bigger bucket. We're going to pour the white or the oyster color and kind of layer different epoxies in, and we're going to use metallic spray paints to give it a little bit different effect. We're going to relocate all of our catalysts so that we can clean the countertop once more. Then we'll get to mixing the catalyst with the resin, and then we'll go ahead and pour. What happens sometimes if you use a drill to mix these is you get air entrapment, and that will cause bubbles to come up in the surface. No drill. We mix by hand.
Or you pour it, and then we're gonna mix.
Perfect. The clock starts as soon as the resin and the catalyst meet. So it starts to become more viscous once you've combined the catalyst and the resin. We're just going to combine some of these in a bucket. And since we're doing a dirty pour, we're going to kind of layer them. So now we're just going to pour. So this material is self-leveling, so once it's on and set, it'll start to level itself. Also, the colors are going to have a lot of movement as it cures. The metallics will kind of settle and move around a little bit. They call that melting the colors, right? So it's going to take a complete transformation after this is done. We're looking to make sure all the color elements are used. We're just kind of applying it in a randomized fashion, just to give it its unique appearance. This will add a little bit of flair once it's cured. The solvents in the spray paint will actually cause the pigments to jump around a little bit too. It'll just create a really, really neat effect. Diego's just kind of blending a little bit now, just to, make sure we don't have too much of one color or, anything like that. So the worst part is the time. You gotta hurry, so you gotta try to right, Diego?
Yeah, the worst part is that you have to be, first is the preparation. That's probably the worst part. You have to be ready to apply, to adjust, and to finish in a good time. There's no easy way of doing it, so you have to put yourself into it and just apply your knowledge, work hard. That's it. The best part is having a nice finish, seamless. So it's gonna look like it's just one piece. And at the end of the day, it's also a very durable and quick system. I'm Diego.
I'm John.
And we thank you for the time spent with us building this countertop. We appreciate it.
And we'll see you next time.